Hello everyone. Back to continuing to reopening old wounds by tearing apart the most beautiful yet most disliked game in the Mass Effect trilogy. A masterpiece that got destroyed by, a bad third. Anyway, we leave the Citadel and we leave Cerberus and we move on to another despicable part of the game.
So as we move forward from that utter stupidity, it's time to help the Quarians take back their homeworld from the Geth. Well, so much for convincing them to not go to war in the second game.
Yeah, this utterly pisses me off once again. It feels absolutely contrived that the Quarians, I admit, Quarians, like humans, they have their stupid members and they have their stupid politicians and they have their stupid generals who get people into trouble. But honestly, the war between the Geth and the Quarians, the stupidity they started exhibiting here, feels completely artificial, that is put in there for no reason other than for the sake of making us fight the Geth once again. Because I cannot imagine anyone stupid enough to try to declare war against not only the robotic race that kicked their asses, but to do it in the middle of the Reaper War. I mean, dude, what were you thinking? Were you thinking at all? We're fighting against a giant race of machines that are hell-bent on wiping us all out. They're more powerful than the entire galaxy united, and yet somehow you think you're gonna waste numbers. It's the whole divide and conquer shtick all over again. Humanity is divided between Cerberus and non-Cerberus, and now the Quarians are killing each other off, killing themselves by attacking the Geth, and instead of uniting. Ugh. Anyway, sorry about that. Oh, and by the way, I am one of those who brought Legion to the flotilla because I was really hoping that would change things, and it really should have. It should have shown that the Geth are not only willing to talk and are able to talk, but are willing to sit at the table and negotiate. 6 months before the Reapers even arrived, they could have asked Legion to please go back to your people and tell us that we've prepared a table, we're willing to talk. How Mass Effect 3 could have been different if we were preparing for the Reapers before they arrived. Oh man, such a dream.
Take back their homeworld from the Geth. Well, so much for convincing them to not go to war in the second game. And, as you'd imagine, the situation doesn't make a lick of sense. They mention how Admiral Geralt tried to enact a frontal assault on the Geth.
Sorry about this. The pistol right here. The arc pistol. That's another thing that pisses me off. They took away my favorite heavy gun. The gun that made me feel like a Tesla trooper, a Soviet Tesla trooper, and replaced it with a pistol. A little pistol that not only packs nowhere near as much power, but despite the ammo impacts looking like small electrical jolts like they're supposed to, the behavior of the weapon, the behavior of the victim on the other end of that weapon, it's as if I'm shooting bullets at them instead of electricity. It's weird. I mean, like when I fire the arc projector, the characters acted like I was hitting them with electricity, which I was. It's the overload, basically. But the pistol blows their heads off and opens up wounds just like bullets. It's stupid and weird.
Which is not only suicidal, but stupid. Why would you order a frontal assault on a...
Hold on, let's see. Sorry about that tangent, but that pistol opened up another memory.
...the Geth, which is not only suicidal, but stupid. Why would...
Hold on.
Lick of sense. They mention how Admiral Geralt tried to enact a frontal assault on the Geth, which is not only suicidal, but stupid. Why would you order a frontal assault on a military power that clearly has more might and more advanced technology than you? There's literally zero strategy in that, and he should know better considering he served in the military for years. Either he's a really shitty admiral or the Quarians just don't know how to properly plan an attack.
It's the same kind of self-contradicting stupidity that Disney put into Star Wars in The Last Jedi. Holdo is supposed to be a brilliant general, but at the same time she's an idiot politician. You know, on paper, brilliant general, in practice, idiot politician. Yet here we have the same contradictory lore.
I mean, these guys are so stupid that they actually agree with Geralt to send the civilian ships into battle. I reiterate, they agreed with Geralt to send civilian ships into battle. Civilian ships that aren't built for military combat carrying non-combatants into a fight.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit. Fuck. Oh, my.
Yeah, this is one downer, including Bill Nye. Dude, Bill Nye's credibility is so badly shot to shit that you couldn't take his word that day is light and night is dark. He's worse than Neon deGrasse Tyson, another discredited idiot TV sensationalist. He's got college degrees, but whenever he opens his mouth, he proves that college degrees do not mean you're smart anymore.
But here's something that really bothers me.
Oh, and as Joker said, you're sending your life ships over. It's like duct taping cannons to your school bus, full of your kids still, and sending into battle. You duct tape some sheet metal and some cannons and act like that's now a tank. And no.
Oh, my.
But here's something that really bothers me. Before the mission, you have a conversation with the admirals about a plan, and for some reason they do this phoned-in recap of their history.
Your homeworld? You mean Rannoch?
Correct, Commander. 300 years ago, we lost our world to our own AI creations, the Geth.
After we attempted to kill them.
This part also, it pissed me off earlier in the game, and it pissed me off again when this part showed up. I would calculate that about 25% of all the dialogue throughout the game is basically a rehash of what we've already been told in the last two parts of the trilogy. It's as if nobody was paying attention. And of course, this game was made to accommodate new players who skipped the first two games. So basically, every time these characters talked like this, and I would calculate that a quarter of the dialogue is dedicated to rehashing it. Every time a character said this, something like this, I would, to quote Sarge from Red vs. Blue, to paraphrase more like it, do you mind filing that in a folder labeled shit I already know? And so, yeah, that's... yeah.
We didn't try to kill them, Chorus. We tried to deactivate them. It wasn't murder.
No, it was murder.
Commander, the Quarians never intended to create a true AI. It was an accident.
I don't know if it was thanks to this game or if the game was copying what was happening. It was just a coincidence. I don't know. But back in 2012, there was a real shtick going around. The whole debate about are robots people, yes or no. I'm one of those who says no. It's a machine doing its programming, just like my computer is not alive. The robot isn't either.
Which you chose to correct by trying to kill them.
This may seem like a small problem that can easily be ignored, but when you look into it, you see how it plays into one of the worst things about the story. The admirals are relaying this information to Shepard, who has already known for years about the history of the Quarians. For God's sake, the dialogue option is literally called Tell Me About Your History. Why are you asking them about their history when you already know their history? Were you just daydreaming during all your conversations with Tali in Mass Effect 1? There is literally no reason for this at all.
That's actually a pretty good excuse right there, I mean, when you're talking to Tali, you're mesmerized by the shape of her hips and that lovely butt of hers that you probably weren't listening to what she was saying and need a repeat of everything. It's that'd be a pretty funny excuse, but you're not allowed to use that excuse in the game.
Why is this in the game when it doesn't benefit the player in any way? Oh wait, I know why. Because BioWare was stupid enough to make the last game in a planned trilogy about introducing casual players and newcomers. This conversation was put into the game specifically for people who couldn't be bothered to play the first two games. It just amounts to an obnoxious waste of time for people who already played them. And this conversation with the Quarians is only one of many examples of this.
And of course, as we all know, dialogue and cutscenes, they take up space in a game. So, can you imagine how much richer the game would have been, the story would have been, if all the space that was wasted accommodating new players was instead enriching the story for people who played the first two parts of the trilogy? Just saying. Back to the video.
Because my people uplifted the Krogan. We know them best.
You mean you used us to fight a war you couldn't win? It wasn't the Solarians, or the Asari, or even the Turians that stopped the Rachni. It was Krogan blood that turned the tide.
And after that, you ceased to be useful. The genophage was the only way to keep your urges in check.
There are so many moments like this throughout the game. So many scenes of ham-fisted exposition where the writers go, remember this from the first two games? That's all just empty dialogue that says nothing and conveys nothing. I said it before and it bears repeating. If you're making Mass Effect 3 your first Mass Effect game, you're experiencing Mass Effect wrong. You don't start your Lord of the Rings experience with Return of the King. You don't start your Harry Potter experience with the Deathly Hallows. And you certainly don't start your Kingdom Hearts experience with Kingdom Hearts 3.
Where did you get a vessel?
Same as you.
Same how?
Most of the organization's members, they traveled here from the past as hearts. And you had replicas ready and waiting. One for each of them.
That's the original fans, new fans, and me who's come to accept the BS. Yeah, well, Kingdom Hearts is the only example that I'm not familiar with, so sorry, I can't help there.
What the is going on?
So our first assignment of the Rannoch arc is to go inside the ship and disable a Reaper signal powering the Geth. While inside, we come across Legion, who helps us by disabling the drive core. Instead of, you know, taking control of the ship. Why wouldn't he take control of the ship? He had access to the source code. That's a really valuable resource you're just deciding to waste. Though I guess it's not as bad as Gerald, who decides to destroy it, while Tali is still inside the ship.
Your stupid minds! Stupid! Stupid!
Unfortunately, that was a pretty crappy film. I love old black and white horror films as much as the next guy, but that one, I've got it uploaded on Rumble. Let me know if you want to watch it, but it's really crappy.
What the hell is wrong with you? You order civilian ships with non-combatants into a military situation, you order a frontal assault on a fleet with more power than you with no tactical strategy, and you're willing to kill off one of your admirals? And not to mention how wasteful you're being by blowing up the Geth Dreadnought instead of salvaging it. Legion disabled the core. It's no longer a threat to you. Not to mention how
He's not going to mention this because I don't think this is the right video I'm thinking of. But yeah, contrary to what some people think, being able to punch Admiral Garrow right there in the stomach, it is a really tiny amount of catharsis. It's nowhere near enough to compensate for what he did. He nearly got me killed. He nearly got my friends killed. And if I'm romancing Tali, he nearly got my lover killed as well. And of course, he wasted a giant dreadnought that we could have used against the enemy. And you just threw it all away. I really don't think the rest of the admirals would mind if I put my blade through his gut and killed him right there in the spot. But the game does not allow me to do anything fun because Commander Shepard has been hijacked, like I said before.
How wasteful you're being by blowing up the Geth Dreadnought instead of salvaging it. Legion disabled the core. It's no longer a threat to you. You should be salvaging it, especially when you said in your own words that it's more powerful than anything the Quarians have. Get control of the ship, reprogram it, salvage the technology, and use it as a resource against the Reapers. But no, it's better to just blow it up and kill Tali in the process. This guy has got to be the worst general ever. At least BioWare got one thing right, giving you the option to punch his sorry ass. Okay. And another huge problem with the...
Okay, so this is the right video. I forgot which one it was.
BioWare got one thing right, giving you the option to punch his sorry ass.
But like I said, that was nowhere near enough.
And another huge problem with the Rannoch arc is how badly it contradicts the idea that we can't fight the Reapers conventionally.
Oh, and in addition to please hitting the like button and subscribing if you're not subscribed already, I must ask you all, what was wrong with this boss battle? Because I've noticed a lot of people hating this battle, but not specifying why. Is it because you don't like using a laser designator or something? I honestly wish I had a cane in my hand instead of a laser designator, but I'll take what I can get. We killed a Reaper here, but help me, people. Tell me what you hated about it in the comments below.
The Quarians have a satellite laser capable of blowing up a Reaper from orbit with a couple of shots. The Geth can provide you combat software capable of neutralizing the Reaper code. And both of them are masters at hacking enemy systems which have been used to combat Reapers in the past. Why are we being forced to use the Crucible again? With this on top of heavy weapons, Stanix guns, nuke grenades, and other advanced weaponry, we have plenty of ways to fight the Reapers conventionally. Player choice my ass. Okay, so you kill the Reapers and choose what happens to the Quarians and Geth. In the event you side with the Geth or broker peace, Legion sacrifices himself to give the Geth true sentience.
Thankfully, there's a mod that fixes this stupid problem. Legion is a robot. He can easily copy and paste himself. He doesn't need to, well, die in order to finish the job.
And it really shows not only how badly written, but emotionally manipulative this game is with how ridiculous Legion's death is.
And as Pikmon Wolf pointed out in his own video, we have to remember, Mass Effect 3 was written by a different team of writers, and that included Legion. Legion, in this game, is a completely different character than the Legion we had in the second game. It's very, very tragic.
He is software. What's stopping him from simply copy-pasting the Reaper code without sacrificing himself? Just 2 missions ago, he was doing the exact same thing on the Dreadnought to broadcast the signal to all Geth. Why don't you just do that again? At least copy yourself and reserve it on another platform. There is no reason for this death to be taken so dramatically when there are dozens of ways to prevent it from happening. God damn, this game aged worse than a Pepsi left on a beach in the middle of a hot summer day.
That's pretty specific, Diaz, but, well, to each their own. Yeah, there are mods that thankfully bring Geth platforms onto your ship, and even have them intervene on Rannoch on Priority Earth, which is pretty awesome in my opinion. Although I think, if I remember correctly, they are simply reusing units from the multiplayer, but I could be wrong. Nevertheless, it's pretty cool to have a mod that allows Legion to survive and probably join your squad, but I don't remember that part. Anyway, please hit the like button and subscribe, and drink plenty of water, and try to put up with your parents if they're the likable type, and well, they love you deep down, I'm pretty sure. Well, y'all have a good day. Until then.